The story introduces Elma Edvin, the protagonist, who has been reincarnated into the game he used to play, Magic World. Currently undergoing a baptism to determine his class, Elma's father expects him to receive a powerful class. However, Elma secretly wishes to get his favorite class, Heavy Knight, known for its specialization in defense but criticized for its low attack power, making it a challenging class to level up and earning it the reputation of being the worst class in the game. Elma's wish comes true, and he successfully obtains the Heavy Knight class. This revelation shocks his father, who expected a more powerful class. Elma reflects on the differences between his memories of his previous life and the current one. In the gaming world, classes that are strong and easy to master are highly favored, while those that require technical expertise and only become powerful later on are undervalued. Elma's bastard father remains in disbelief about the Heavy Knight class and scrutinizes Elma's stats. He expresses frustration, pointing out the low numbers and the absence of attack skills, deeming it a faulty class. Elma attempts to calm his father, highlighting the high HP and defense stats, but his father dismisses it, slapping him away. His father is relieved the ceremony was conducted privately, fearing that if it were public, Elma's class would bring shame to the Edvin household. Maris, a member of the Branch family, arrives for her own divine blessing ceremony alongside Elma. Despite having played together as children, they have grown distant over the past 5 years. The ceremony proceeds and Maris obtains the prestigious Sword Saint class. She mockingly apologizes to Elma, insinuating that she has surpassed his talent. The Patriarch, Elma's father, is impressed and declares Maris as the next successor of the Edvin household, disowning Elma in the process. Elma is shocked by this turn of events, and his father coldly casts him aside, expressing deep disappointment in Elma's Heavy Knight class, which he considers shameful for a member of the Edvin household. Elma, devastated by his bastard father's harsh disownment, protests and asserts the strength of the Heavy Knight class. However, his father remains unforgiving, banishing Elma from the mansion and warning him against using the Edvin family name. With little money, Elma seeks refuge in an inn, contemplating his next steps. Despite losing his home, family, and friends, Elma finds solace in the belief that he still possesses the powerful Heavy Knight class. Elma reflects on the differences between the game setting and the current world, noting variations in history, topography, and even the city names. He realizes the need to gradually explore and investigate different areas. Relieved to find his stats and skills unchanged from the game, Elma understands that he can freely choose which skills to acquire. The initial bonus points gained upon acquiring a class become the remaining skill points, increasing by 1 with each level. Elma recognizes the critical role these points play in determining his fate as he progresses in the new world. Elma explores the 2 types of skill trees, class-specific and those acquired randomly during character creation. Among his skill trees, the only class-specific one is Vow of the Heavy Armor, exclusive to Heavy Knights. It's considered the weakest and often labeled as a joke due to its seemingly impractical skills. Many skills lack proper timing but are challenging to handle and immensely powerful. Despite the difficulties, the increased defense provided by this skill tree proves to be highly useful. Elma knew the potential of novice swordsmanship. It can evolve into superior swordsmanship. He allocates all 5 points into Vow of the Heavy Armor, boosting his defense and gaining the skill Rampart Return. Testing his skills in a hunt, he encounters a level 2 monster named Larna. Elma successfully uses Rampart Return to reflect damage, defeating the monster and leveling up. As he collects loot from the fallen creature, he hears someone in need of help. Elma encounters an adventurer being chased by numerous monsters. Despite his recent level up and impressive items, Elma clarifies that he's only just reached his first level. The man expresses doubt about Elma's ability to face the monsters and suggests they flee. However, to his surprise, all the monsters attacking Elma drop dead due to the reflect damage. The man, curious and astonished, asks for Elma's identity. Elma introduces himself as Elma the Heavy Knight and receives a title from the battle. He realizes that the system in this world is identical to the game Magic World. The man introduces himself as Ares and expresses gratitude to Elma, who proceeds to collect magic stones from the fallen monsters. Ares suggests forming a party with others, emphasizing that working alone, especially as a shield class, will hinder Elma's progress to the next level. Despite Ares' persistence, Elma declines, thinking about his desire to operate at his own pace. Defensive classes are usually effective in protecting comrades, but Elma wants to pursue his own objectives without dispersing experience, and having too many people with him would attract attention. He didn't want to reveal his abilities too early. Ares continues to urge Elma, believing he's amazing but needs to aim higher and not limit himself by solo hunting weaker monsters like Larnus. A giant spider named Aranda Ape suddenly appears and attacks Ares, with Elma realizing it's 2 levels above him. Elma knew the limitations of Rampart Return against a stronger opponent, considering the activation condition that requires his defense to be twice as strong as his attackers. Ares intervenes, urging Elma to run and taking responsibility for the situation. Seeing Ares' fear, steps in and Elma reassures him, expressing confidence in his ability to handle the formidable spider. Elma invests more points into the Vow of Heavy Armor, obtaining the Disarm skill, which allows him to lower the enemy's attack power upon a successful hit. Excited by the dangerous battle, Elma skillfully evades the spider's attacks. When the spider attempts to use poison, Elma seizes the opportunity to employ Disarm, successfully reducing the monster's attack power. Despite the spider's continued use of skills, Elma remains in control, having memorized all its moves and abilities. With 2 successful disarms, the monster's attack power is now reduced by 40%. Combining this with the immovable title, which increases defense by 10% while standing still, Elma finally meets the conditions for Rampart Return. Elma successfully activates Rampart Return during the monster's next attack. Knocking it down, he delivers a final blow, causing his level to surge from 8 to 12. With additional points invested in Vow of Heavy Armor, Elma reaches its level 15 limit, acquiring the parry skill. Ares, witnessing Elma's abilities, becomes convinced that he can indeed hunt alone. However, Ares notices Elma is poisoned and escorts him back to the city for treatment. Returning to Rondom City, Elma heads to the Adventurers Guild to register, successfully becoming an F-class adventurer. Satisfied with the accomplishment, he realizes the importance of ranking and aims to quickly rise to E rank. Elma notes that, based on his rank, there's a limit to how much he can upgrade Vow of Heavy Armor. However, when other adventurers mock him for being a low-level heavy knight, suggesting no one would form a party with him, Elma remains undeterred. He surprises the guild staff by exchanging monster stones for a considerable amount of money, showcasing his ability to thrive as a solo adventurer. After securing his living expenses, Elma inquires about a promotion quest at the Adventurers Guild, and the staff hesitantly confirms its availability. Elma takes on the quest and meets with other adventurers participating in the raid. The leader, Gotan, looks down on Elma, expressing disbelief that he could defeat an Aranda ape. Gotan restrains his temper, finding Elma respectful, and eventually relents. The leader orders Tail to initiate the quest, who then informs the group of 30 monsters ahead. After this, Tail notices Elma among the adventurers. Tail, mentioning the gossip about Elma's actions at the guild, engages in a conversation. Elma, observing Tail's equipment, identifies him as a red mage, recognizing their proficiency in physical skills, offensive spells, and recovery magic, as well as their ability to learn various support spells. Tail expresses pity for Elma's perceived trashy class, but Elma defends his fondness for it. Elma points out that the red mage, while powerful in a game context, may not hold the same advantages in the real world. Gotan, a D-class adventurer, lays out the plan for the upcoming undead battle, assigning the task of handling the smaller enemies to the others while he takes on the ghoul head. Elma, assessing the situation, notes the ghoul head's approximate level and abilities, including its undead breath that can create low-grade whites from corpses. Despite having a level 40 D-rank adventurer like Gotan in the group, Elma observes the group and acknowledges the mixture of cowardly and arrogant individuals, while calculating the chances of everyone surviving at around 80%. Elma, concerned about the lack of instruction in Gotan's orders, politely suggests providing more detailed instructions due to potential variations in the undead group. Gotan reacts with annoyance, questioning if Elma is giving orders. Elma clarifies that they are all low-level adventurers and, therefore, scared, requesting detailed instructions for everyone's benefit. Tail, dismissive of Elma's concerns, implies that only those with trash classes like Elma should fear the undead. He implies that those who are scared can hide in the backlands, rejecting the need for detailed instructions. As the undead, including the ghoul head, emerge from the ground, Tail falls in terror, while Gotan issues commands. Elma observes the ghoul head, noting its weapon is a club, and instructs the other newcomers to attack the undead. However, they hesitate, and Elma realizes it's likely their first time facing a group of monsters, especially the eerie undead. Recognizing the lack of proper orders in this chaotic situation, Elma understands the newcomers' hesitation. Elma takes charge, instructing the newcomers to split into 3 groups and watch each other's backs. When an undead suddenly attacks, Elma intervenes, parrying the attack and saving a fellow adventurer. As more undead charge, Elma skillfully parries their attacks, using Disarm and finishing them off with Rampart Return. The other adventurers are surprised by Elma's abilities. Elma then emphasizes the importance of communication, urging them to inform their comrades immediately if something happens so that he can come to their aid. Elma continues to efficiently destroy the undead, reaching level 16 in the process. Satisfied with the effectiveness of the parry skill, they eventually succeed in defeating the undead. When one of the adventurers asks if Elma is going to help Gotan, Elma explains that the ghoul head's level is significantly higher, advising against interfering. Meanwhile, Gotan manages to push back the ghoul head, but his movements are hindered by the undead. He scolds the terrified Tail and Paul for not doing their duties. Seizing the opportunity, the ghoul head attempts to attack Gotan, but he successfully evades and counterattacks with a powerful blow. Elma observes the ongoing battle and is confident in their eventual victory. However, the undead keeps coming, and to their surprise, the ghoul head boss starts eating the undead, regaining its HP in the process. Elma senses something is off, realizing there's no need to consume so many undead just for healing. Gotan remains undeterred and prepares to attack. However, Elma stops him from making a move. Suddenly, the ghoul head undergoes a transformation, increasing its level to 40, shocking everyone present. Evolution in monsters is described as a rare event that occurs under specific conditions, triggered when a cornered monster unleashes its latent potential to escape danger by evolving into a different species. Elma, realizing the danger of the evolving ghoul head, warns Gotan to get away, but Gotan is caught by the boss's attack, leaving him dazed. Elma urgently instructs Tail and Paul to distract the evolving monster, emphasizing that if Gotan drops out of the fight, their chances of survival diminish. However, Tail and Paul are too terrified to move. The boss landed a powerful attack on Gotan followed by another to finish him off, but Elma stepped in and skillfully parried the attack. Elma instructs Tail to take Gotan to safety and heal him, a command that Tail hesitantly follows. Elma knew the paralysis caused by the Madhead's special skill. The paralyzing toxin of decaying flesh normally wears off on its own in about 3 minutes. Elma aims to hold out until then, confident that Gotan should be able to recover after Tail healed him. However, he knew there was a big difference between real life and the controlled environment of a game. As Elma faces the boss alone, the other adventurers choose to run away, doubting Elma's ability to handle the formidable foe. Despite skillfully parrying the boss's attacks, Elma is still sent flying backward. He acknowledges that he wanted to avoid a high-risk, high-return scenario, a situation where his abilities are pushed to the limit. However, despite the challenges, he finds himself fired up by the adrenaline of facing such a formidable opponent. As Elma continues to struggle against the boss's relentless attacks, he decides to invest more points into the beginner swordsmanship skill, acquiring the direct slash skill. After a few exchanges, he seizes an opportunity to use direct slash, only to find that it has little effect on the formidable monster. Elma knew that most people consider direct slash as a trash skill due to its sacrifice of range for a surprise attack. It surprisingly works well for a heavy knight with low offense and high defense. But he knew it was not enough to bring down the powerful opponent. The boss continues its frenzied attacks, but Elma skillfully evades, buying precious time and frustrating the monster. Eventually, Elma is relieved as Gotan arrives, landing a powerful blow that instantly kills the formidable foe. Elma's level increases to 23. Gotan, observing Elma, is impressed that, despite being a mere F-rank adventurer, Elma managed to endure attacks that could have almost killed even him. Elma expresses gratitude to Gotan for saving him. Gotan apologizes to Elma, admitting his shortcomings in leadership and management during the battle. He suggests that Elma take the level 40 magic stone from the boss, and they both notice a shield that drops as loot. Elma considers giving the shield to Gotan, but Gotan insists that Elma keep it since he defeated the monster. Curious about the item, Elma checks the shield and discovers it is called the Shield of Madness, a rare item valued at 3 million gold. Elma recognizes the significant value of the shield, realizing its potential to enhance his defensive capabilities. Seeing the price, Gotan was a bit tempted. Elma expresses concern about the promotion, but Gotan reassures him, stating that he'll endorse Elma's promotion to E-rank. Gotan mentions that the guild had asked him to keep an eye on Elma, but it seems unnecessary now. Tail asks Gotan to recognize his promotion as well, highlighting how his healing assistance allowed Gotan to stand back up. However, Gotan dismisses the idea, asserting that Tail held him back against the monster and that tougher challenges lie ahead in other dungeons. Gotan advises Tail to gain more experience before considering a promotion. Upon returning to the Adventurers Guild, they receive the reward for the quest, with Elma receiving a significant gold reward for the Mad Head's magic stone, but doubts arise about whether he truly defeated the boss. Gotan intervenes, asserting his judgment and silencing the skeptics. After being promoted to E-rank, Elma thought about his next move, considering raising money in dungeons and searching for the skill book of the Smoldering Fong of Madness to enhance his Heavy Knight abilities. Elma knew the Smoldering Mad Fong and vowed the heavy armor together complete the Heavy Knight class, turning it into a potent human weapon. Eager to find the skill book for Smoldering Mad Fong, he inquires about skill books at a shop but discovers that the sale of skill books is prohibited. The shopkeeper explains that any skill books found are usually acquired by the Adventurer Guild and distributed to nobles and churches, but if he could find one himself, he could use it. Elma was shocked to hear this. Elma realized that noble families have a significant influence in this world compared to the game. He figures that there's a high chance his family, the Edvins, might be monopolizing the skill books in the city of Rondam. The shopkeeper notices Elma's difficulty and decides to help him by providing directions to a shop that sells dismantled items, including skill books. The shopkeeper explains that these shops operate as black markets, and the guild is aware of them but chooses not to intervene. She reveals that adventurers, desperate for a livelihood, sell dismantled items to these shops, which then pass them on to nobles. This includes skill books, which are hoarded rather than put to use. Elma feels frustrated, realizing that if his memories hadn't returned, and if he had become a sword saint as originally planned, he would have been part of the nobles taking advantage of the adventurers. Elma, surprised to find skill books at the shop, is met with exorbitant prices. The shopkeeper, recognizing Elma as a youngster, dismissively allows him to browse. Elma is shocked at the prices, noticing that the beginner archery skill book, which cost 500k in the game, is now being sold for 3 million. The shopkeeper explains that obtaining these skill books involves crossing dangerous bridges and hinting at illegal or risky dealings. She mentions that government officials turn a blind eye to such activities, but if higher authorities were to discover it, the consequences could be severe, even lethal. Elma, while browsing the skill books, is shocked to find the Smoldering Mad Fong, a mandatory skill tree for heavy knights. However, his excitement is short-lived when he learns that the book costs a staggering 50 million gold. Faced with the exorbitant price, Elma realizes that even selling the Mad Shield wouldn't be sufficient to afford such a rare skill book. Elma suggests that the shopkeeper should hire bodyguards given the high prices. Unfazed, the shopkeeper confidently asserts that she recently beat up 5 people like a drum. Elma, determined to obtain the Smoldering Mad Fong skill book, requests the shopkeeper to reserve it for him until he can gather the required 50 million gold. The shopkeeper, seemingly fond of Elma, agrees but adds an extra 5 million gold to the price. Elma sighs, realizing the significant challenge of accumulating such a large sum. He reflects on the steep prices associated with powerful skill trees and resolves to create a plan to earn the substantial amount needed to secure the Smoldering Mad Fong skill book. First, collecting rare drops in the dungeon. This plan is hindered by the Heavy Knight's lack of a reliable damage-dealing method, making the accumulation of funds through rare drops challenging. Second, farming mobs with Rampart Return. However, this would consume a lot of time. Third, learning beginner swordsmanship or other skill books. Elma recognizes the drawbacks of investing in skills that will become obsolete once he obtains the Smoldering Mad Fong, making this plan less appealing. Lastly, grouping up with other adventurers. Leveraging his newfound reputation post-raid quest, Elma sees the potential of joining forces with other adventurers to explore diverse opportunities and increase his chances of earning the necessary funds. A party of 3, swordsman, bandit, and jester, celebrates acquiring a valuable item, the bloodstained sword, worth 2 million gold. The jester, Luce, claims credit, but the swordsman doubts her contribution, expressing skepticism about her combat abilities. Luce insists she made a difference and vows to prove it in the next dungeon. Klein, the swordsman, dismisses her, questioning whether someone useless in a fight, like her, deserves a share of the valuable sword, despite Luce's pleas. Luce defends herself, blaming the swordsman, Klein, for advising her to allocate skill points that left her without attack skills. Klein denies responsibility, stating that Luce made the final decision. Elma, observing the argument, reflects on similar conflicts in the magic world, where skill tree choices and reward sharing led to frequent disputes and unforeseen challenges. Klein throws Luce's 100k gold share to the ground. Klein expresses disappointment, mentioning the party's initial acceptance of Luce despite her lacking skills. Reese, the bandit, agrees, emphasizing the shared financial struggles within the group. Despite Luce's attempts to apologize, they ignore her and leave. Elma knew that financial troubles were the common cause of party breakups. He acknowledges the significance of skill point allocation in the leveling system, emphasizing the need to defeat opponents of the same level. Elma wonders about Luce's skill choices, considering possibilities like agility up or a weapon-based skill tree. He then thought about a specific skill of the jester and rushed to confirm if she had that skill. As Luce tries to follow Klein and Reese, Elma stops her and extends an invitation to join his party. Luce, surprised and silent, receives an offer of an 80-20 split in her favor. Klein questions Elma's intentions, and Elma reveals that he overheard Luce being kicked out of their party and came to scout her. Despite Klein's concerns about Luce's low battle power, Elma dismisses it as a problem. Klein sarcastically welcomes Elma to take Luce away, to which Elma responds that he doesn't need permission. Klein questions Elma about his level and allies, adopting a threatening tone. Elma reveals that he's a level 23 solo heavy knight, currently an E-rank adventurer. Klein points out Luce's low level and questions Elma's interest in her. He states her lack of usefulness. Reese suggests it's odd for an E-rank adventurer to want Luce, implying that her abilities might have a significant effect. Klein, however, is more concerned with avoiding potential reputational damage, suggesting that letting Elma take Luce without a fuss would be ideal. Reese reluctantly agrees with Klein's perspective. Luce agrees to join Elma, and Klein offers the 100k gold as a parting gift. However, Elma refuses to let Luce pick it up, criticizing Klein for not cleaning up after himself and mocking the notion of scattered gold as a gift. Despite Luce's hesitation about leaving the gold, Elma insists they don't want to owe anything to people like Klein. Klein responds with a sarcastic remark, wishing them luck in their useless party together. Elma takes Luce to a tavern, where Luce expresses gratitude for being invited to the party but acknowledges her shortcomings. Elma reassures her, advising her to fight monsters that align with her skill tree to increase her level. Luce, pondering Elma's motives, asks if he helped her because he fell in love with her at first sight. Elma was confused, and Luce suggested they start as friends first. Elma then brings up Luce's skill tree, specifically mentioning the Great Fortune skill tree. In Magic World, dungeons are the nightmares of the sleeping god Alzeros. Alzeros, originating from the Eternal Void, created numerous gods and the world. However, over the course of eternal time, Alzeros began losing his sanity, leading to his eventual sealing by the gods he had brought into existence. Despite being sealed, Alzeros' nightmares continued to influence the real world, giving rise to monsters and opening gates to our world. These openings, known as dungeons, are also referred to as dream holes. Elma and Luce arrive near a dungeon, and Luce reveals her ability, Dice Thrust, which only works if the dice rolls a 6. Luce expresses a desire to improve her skills, mentioning Fool's Acrobatics or an attack power-up. Elma reassures her, stating that he needs her for the expedition, causing Luce to blush and misunderstand his words. Elma clarifies that they aim to earn at least 30 million gold and help Luce reach level 30. He advises her not to reveal her status easily in the future, and they proceed to enter the dungeon. Upon entering the dungeon, Elma outlines their plan. Despite the recommended level being 50, Elma is confident in their ability to handle the monsters on the first floor without the risk of death. He assigns Luce the task of using her knife to take down enemies while he pulls them toward himself. Luce, appreciative of the trust and the expensive knife Elma bought for her, expresses determination to live up to his expectations. Encountering a monster called Patchwork Bear, Elma assesses its attack power at 22, reassuring Luce that even if she gets hit, she'll have some HP left, except in the case of a critical hit. Elma advises Luce to stop the bear's movement by attacking it right before it strikes. Luce wonders why Elma knows so much and amusingly speculates that he might be a fan of the bear. Elma uses the skill Shadow Stomp, acquired from killing the Madhead, to restrain the Patchwork Bear by stepping on its shadow. Despite the monster still managing to move, Elma instructs Luce to finish it off, but the bear doesn't drop anything. Elma dismisses it, mentioning that these monsters are primarily for power leveling, and since they plan to farm more, drops will likely appear eventually. As they continue hunting, they obtain 2 shields, much to Luce's delight. Elma, however, finds it odd, considering the drop rate, and speculates that Luce's skill, Beckoning Kitty, which raises her luck stat by 500%, might be influencing the unusual drops. He realized the limited information about monsters in the world and assumed that Klein's party might have been accustomed to better drop rates, leading to their failure to notice such occurrences. Elma assumed that Klein's party did not realize the significance of Luce's luck-boosted drops, attributing it to them being a first-time party. Luce was happy and asked if she was useful, and Elma sincerely expressed gratitude for her joining him. Luce playfully mentions the possibility of gathering more bear shields, to which Elma responds that it's fine, emphasizing that she is leveled up enough. He then reveals their next target, the golden frog. Like and subscribe if you want me to continue the next chapters, and thank you for watching.